Why aren't you home yet?
I'll return when what matters is finished. Attention fades when respect disappears.
She messaged him in the evening asking why he wasn't home yet. He replied calmly, saying he'd return when he finished what mattered. That single sentence immediately unsettled her. She typed back, asking what he meant by that. He said his priorities had shifted recently. Trying to lighten the mood, she joked that he sounded so mysterious. He replied that mystery often followed awareness. Her typing bubble appeared and then disappeared over and over. Finally, she asked if he was upset with her. His response was chilling in its simplicity. He no longer reacted the way he used to. The words made her deeply uncomfortable. She told him she missed how attentive he once was, how he used to hang on her every word. He replied that attention tends to fade when respect disappears. Stung, she accused him of being passive-aggressive, but he wasn't playing that game anymore. He said he was finally being direct, but with himself. Over the next few days, his tone remained consistent, calm, distant, and impenetrably serene. She started sending longer and longer messages, paragraphs filled with emotional pleas, trying to pull him back into the dynamic they once had, the one she controlled. He responded with fewer and fewer words, offering no explanations, no emotional hooks for her to grab onto. This imbalance of effort slowly, but surely, reversed the power she had held for so long. One night, desperation creeping in, she asked if he trusted her anymore. He answered that trust wasn't rebuilt with reassurances. It was rebuilt through actions. She completely avoided that point. Instead, she deflected, asking why he was acting like a completely different person. He said he had simply stopped shrinking himself just to keep the peace. The silence that followed his message felt heavy, suffocating. She had to know. "Do you know something?" She typed, her fingers trembling slightly. He replied that he knew enough to stop pretending. Her heart began to race. In a panic, she started denying everything, even though he hadn't accused her of anything specific. He simply noted that denial always arrives quickly when guilt is present. Her facade crumbled. "Are you accusing me of cheating?" she demanded. He calmly stated that accusations were unnecessary when a person's behavior spoke so loudly. Her messages became frantic, a waterfall of excuses and explanations. She insisted it wasn't what it looked like. He replied that secrecy is the very definition of betrayal. She tried a different tactic, blaming her loneliness and feeling unseen by him. He was unmoved. He answered that being neglected doesn't justify deception. Broken, she begged him to just talk to her in person. He agreed, but on his terms, choosing a public place, a neutral ground where emotional outbursts would be contained. When they met at the coffee shop, his composure was what frightened her the most. He was a statue of calm. He listened without a single interruption as she poured out her story, her justifications, her tears. When she finally ran out of words, he looked at her and asked one quiet, simple question about accountability. She had no answer ready for that. In that moment, everything shifted. She realized with a sickening lurch that he was no longer emotionally dependent on her. The strings she used to pull were gone. "Are you going to get revenge?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. He shook his head slowly. "Revenge is noisy and weak," he said. "I choose consequence instead." She asked what that meant. His reply was methodical and clear: exposure, boundaries, and separation. He looked at her, not with hatred, but with a profound sense of finality. "Choices create outcomes," he said. She lashed out, accusing him of becoming heartless. He responded, "Strength often feels heartless to those who have relied on your weakness." Shortly after their meeting, the other man vanished from her life. The promises he had made, the future she thought they had, all dissolved into thin air. Her friends started questioning her version of events, the narrative she had so carefully constructed. Her world of comfort, built on a foundation of lies, vanished piece by piece. One night she messaged him, crying, lost in her self-made storm. He replied, wishing her accountability and growth. That response felt colder and more final than silence ever could. It was then she understood he was no longer protecting her image, no longer shielding her from the fallout of her own actions. Work became uncomfortable. Her social circles grew distant. The world she knew was shrinking. She sent him another message, asking if he enjoyed watching her fall apart. That indifference hurt more than any cruelty ever could have. She asked if there was any chance, any hope, to fix things between them. He told her that some lessons are designed to end relationships permanently. For the very first time, she sent him apologies without any excuses attached. He acknowledged them respectfully, but he didn't soften. His resolve was absolute. Days turned into weeks. He rebuilt his routine with discipline and clarity. He was moving forward. She, however, remained stuck in a cycle of regret. She finally admitted to herself that she had underestimated him completely. The man she thought she could control no longer existed. In his place stood someone she didn't recognize, someone forged in the fires of betrayal. She asked one final question, a last desperate attempt to find a flicker of the past. "Do you still love me?" He replied, "Love without dignity is self-betrayal." That was the last message he ever sent. He didn't block her, he simply archived the chat. That quiet, definitive ending haunted her far more than any screaming match or angry tirade ever could. He moved on, unburdened and focused. Not because he had destroyed her, but because he had made the resolute choice to never be destroyed again. And that was how his silent transformation turned her entire world upside down, without him ever having to lift a hand against her. He just chose himself. Thanks for watching. If this story resonated with you, remember to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more content.